Okay, welcome to this episode of Thundercast. And today we are interviewing Stacy Raske from InFlowential Inc., personal coach extraordinaire. So, Stacy, take it away. Why don't you tell us about your company and your target market and all that cool stuff?
Yeah, all the background of who I am, what I do, who I serve, all the goodies. So thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. We're like such great friends and we've been working together and, love working with you, not only on the coaching side, the agency side, but even being a client of yours, which is absolutely phenomenal. So, yes, I do a few different things for myself. I'm a bestselling author, professional speaker, Iraq War veteran, a badass biker chick, and specializing as a leadership mentor, systems and business strategist. And most importantly, I help driven disruptors create the systems they need to elevate performance, people, and profit. The biggest thing I've seen over the decade I've been coaching is everything is built upon systems. I'm a boundaries expert because I had none. And what I've found over the time that I've been working, obviously in my own journey and with other people, is that we've got to set up the systems for success. And that's truly the missing component for people like us who are, the ADD, the ADHD, the superpowers of neurodivergency. In order to work with ourselves, we have to systematize our success and also help avoid that sabotage cycle.
Right. So you do an awful lot. There's so much to what you approach all the personal growth stuff from all sides, physical, mental, spiritual, financial. What's in the secret sauce this year? Like everyone has their modus operandi, the way that they feel that they're most effective in their coaching. What's your secret sauce?
So it has been simplifying this process. So it's actually taking something that we've been doing in a year-long container, yet as a lot of us inherent recovering control freaks and chronic procrastinators like to do, that's too big of a time frame. So it's actually been condensing down the process and the work that we do into 90 days to really activate the flow, because we're used to using procrastination to activate our edge. So everybody's going to wait till 3-6 months into the process and be like, oh shit, I haven't been showing up and doing the work. I'm like, well, that's definitely your medicine. However,
I've never done that.
No, not at all. So, if we can create that smaller container to really compress the urgency and activate flow while really just simplifying and dialing in on what are the most powerful steps in the process. Let's just trim the fat, eliminate all the extra fluff and crap that we don't need. So we're getting results right away. And what's great about that is seeing people 10xing their business in less than 2 months.
See, I was going to ask, that was my next question. I know you can't give me names of your clients, but without naming them, can you give us a few of your success stories where people have 10x some of their businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. Some people are very public about it, but in many ways, I find it amusing how people will join these big organizations and big masterminds, and yet they also end up working with me and within our alpha leadership experience. And we're like the secret sauce, and like people are like, actually don't talk about us as much. I feel like we're kind of this secret that nobody wants to know that they're over here doing this real work, which is wild. So yeah, we've had quite a few of our clients where they come in, and if you're really leaning into the journey, especially on the internal piece, doing the clarity, being able to create the focus, eliminating all the unnecessary things, and crafting those systems for success with yourself first, AKA routines, then that's the foundation to everything else to be built upon. And it's amazing to see how quickly, when you do lean in, 6 to 8 weeks is about that sweet spot where all the gates kind of open and everything that people want starts to come in. So we're averaging about 3 to 4x in that time frame. And then we do have a few unicorns who are 10xing. And the most recent one, who Josh, actually, you just met him. Actually,
Right, yeah.
he 10x'd one of his businesses and also closed a $250,000 contract.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that's huge. I do feel that you're like the best kept secret in the coaching industry, right? What I like about your approach is that it's kind of like take what you need, where a lot of others are, you have to do the process. Here's step one, here's step two. And it's like, all right, I've done that. All right, let's get to, the real work. And the real work for everyone is different. Right. And so I've found for myself that was the greatest benefit, because I can ignore all the stuff that I know is already working for me. And I can focus on the weak points so I can build myself up.
growth edges.
Growth edges. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's what I call it. It's a growth edge. I'm like, it's not a failure. It's not a weakness. It's a growth edge, growth opportunity. But that's why we ended up adding in the agency side too, and building out the business systems, because it's just that natural evolution.
You just read my mind. So that's exactly what I wanted to go into next. So you do have a process in terms of meeting, right? So you have weekly meetings, and then you have quarterly, in-person meetings, and you have coaching sessions. I mean, there's a lot to it, and each one of them addresses different information. That's kind of that pick and choose thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. One, I completely agree with you. I think it's important to have a customized process, because we tend to be the place where people go when they've done everything else.
Right.
They're like, I've chased the strategies, I've followed the gurus, I joined the masterminds, I invested in all these people and still didn't get what I needed. And we're the place where people get to bring it all together. So it's a really integration is kind of what we specialize in, because we look at everything holistically. Very few organizations or ecosystems do you actually get the level of inner work and support, and the leadership, and the relationships, and the business strategy, and the wealth mastery. So it's so comprehensive, because I don't know about you, but I'm showing up as all of me to everything I do.
You're saying so much right now, because if I'm thinking about what worked for me, it's not necessarily the process. Sorry, I'm out of focus there. It's not the process all the time. Sometimes it's a core belief that I have that I don't know that I have that's in my way. So I'm in my own way. It's like you can put the process in me as many times as you want. It's not going to work until I figure out that dysfunctional belief that I made up about myself somewhere along the way. And a good coach points that out. And when you look at all the other people who are coaching out there, a lot of them, you get people who are hype, and some people need hype. Some people like hype. It's not an issue with that. But that's not all you need all the time. A lot of us need a little bit more. We need someone to point out an insight about ourselves that we haven't realized yet.
It's huge. We need that neutral pair of eyes to be the reflection of your current state. And that fundamentally is what it is. It's being able to see what's really going on, and most importantly, asking the right questions, because you've got to build the skill set of being able to trust that all the answers are already in there. Everything you need is already inside you. It's just there's some sort of belief or block or habit loop or pattern that's just getting in the way. And we have the capacity, no matter how far we are into our programming, since the bulk of it happens before the age of 7, and then a good chunk of it 10 years old, and then, almost all of it by 18, but there's still capacity for growth and really breaking the habit loops and patterns. But we've got to look at understanding physical, mental, emotional, spiritual need to happen all at the same time, because you can't just go to a healer or a therapist and expect it all to be fixed, because we're missing some of those key core components.
Right. So, all right. So tell me, so like for a second, pretend I don't know you and I'm just talking to you. I know that's a big ask, but you know, let's pretend for a second that I want to do this coaching thing, right? So what are the levels that people would do with you, and how would they start with you depending on the size of their current business, and where would you recommend people start based on the size of or their need? Like, what are some examples of some people that you're currently coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So the bulk of our clients, it's interesting because everybody recognizes at the end of the day, they're the bottleneck to their business success. It always goes back to the person who started the business, whether you're a business of one or you're a business of 100. And we have all of those within our organization. And we've had people from just starting out, still in the day job, just coming in with an idea, but they know they needed to step into that clarity and confidence. And then we've had people with 9-figure organizations in terms of all of their businesses, all of their assets combined. And what's interesting is fundamentally, everybody's got the same problems at every level. It just ends up showing up differently because obviously the problems as a solopreneur are a little different than when you have a team of 10 people.
Right.
So the key is just starting with that initial conversation. And it's funny because we have a clarity chat and sometimes people come and they're like, I need the systems. And I'm like, no, you need the coaching. The business systems on our agency side are not going to be the solution. We're just going to create more space for your sabotage cycles. And then sometimes it's been the opposite. I'm like, look, you're really far more dialed in than you realize. So let's move you over to the agency, focus on building out your systems, combine that with the coaching for just a few months to dial you in. And then everything's running like clockwork. So every individual is different and you've done work. That's the key thing, is understanding what's the work you've already done, what's working, what's not working, so you can create that customized pathway. And even when we're looking at a process, say clarity and boundaries and routines and things like that, you're going to make it exactly your own based on where you're at in your journey and what your needs are.
Right. You just said something that you keep saying so many cool things. We're never going to be able to touch every topic, but
we can always have another episode.
Yeah, we can definitely, we can have multiple episodes, but let's talk about the sabotage cycle, right? Like, cause that's an interesting one. That's the one that many coaches don't get into. Right. And well, it's not the end all be all. I think it's a big one. I think that's, like you said, everyone has the information usually, especially if they're already established, but it's that sabotage cycle that I think gets most of us.
Oh, for sure. And the hardest is when we know it, but we're not embodying it. Like, that's the challenge I see is it, and I'll speak for myself because I am a product of my own program, is I was the consumer. Let me learn, and not necessarily implement, because that was one of my sabotage cycles, was
huge problem.
Not taking action because I was this control freak. So I'm huge procrastination fueled by perfection, and everything was attached to external validation. And so the big sabotage cycle we see, and it's highlighted really well in Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap, right, is we do all of this work, we get into hustle mode, we grind, and can actually make a lot of things happen quickly. And we're basically getting what we want. The results start coming in. What happens? We stop doing the stuff that's working every single time. We start sabotaging because we didn't set ourselves up for success. So we have all these sales. Now we got to stop sales. So we got to go over here to delivery. Or, hey, oh my gosh, I hit my goal weight. So let me go over here and party. And you immediately start gaining it back again, right? It's the same thing every time, because we can do the actions very quickly, but the gap are in the thoughts and the beliefs. The thoughts and the beliefs fall behind. And that's why we feel like imposters. I always say imposter syndrome is a great thing because it's telling you you're doing the stuff you want to be doing, What's lagging behind are the thoughts and beliefs. So you know specifically what to work on. And it's something you can control because it's your own thoughts and beliefs, which is awesome. And so until we're willing to break that cycle by changing the thoughts, the beliefs, and the behaviors, we're not going to get a different result. It's why you see people have it, can build a business to a certain level. And then every time they hit like $2 million, it all comes crashing down. And then they do it again. Oh, look, same cycle.
Right. So it's like building good habits, right? Building good habits. All right. I have a question. I want to take this in a different direction. So I want my audience to get to know Stacy Raske. So tell us some personal stuff, successes about you, your life. I know your business has really grown leaps and bounds over the last year. The number of people you've enrolled has really increased substantially, and it's exciting to watch. But yeah, tell us some cool things about you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, like I said, I am a product of my own program because I was my first client. I am originally from Illinois, and parents were divorced at 2. I love my parents deeply. They're great people, and both of them were emotionally unavailable and very difficult based on their own trauma, cycles, habits, and patterns, generational things. They just didn't know any better. And so I learned very early on, everything was based on achievement. That's what love was the Atta Girls when I performed well, whether it was grades or sports or art or whatever it was. That's how I got attention. And so I didn't learn confidence or esteem. I just learned to chase the external validation, always chasing my dad's love and approval and proud of you. Mom, same thing. And so that continued all the way into adulthood. Everything was achievement, achievement, achievement. And so what I learned my entire life was to wear the mask of who I should be to get that feedback that I was always chasing. Well, the challenge with that is I never learned boundaries. I never learned how to build any sort of a relationship with myself. Never learned how to trust and really work on that piece until I just followed building the life I should. And
that's how you ended up here, though, right? You took these life lessons and you worked on yourself and you put together this whole program, which is really based on your journey.
Yeah. Basically, that's it. It was, all of that culminating to that rock bottom moment where it was the last time that I was suicidal and weighed twice as much as I do now. And everything was falling apart. I'd lost my corporate career. My marriage was literally on pins and needles. It was about to implode. Obviously, my health was terrible. I was walking with a cane. Like, people don't realize how bad my health was. All the autoimmune issues. I had like braces on my wrists and hands. Like, it was difficult to write. Like, it was bad. Wow. And it was just a massive rock bottom moment. And the beauty in that was the clarity I gained was basically like, I'm done trying to control anything other than myself. Because that's what I was doing. I was so afraid of people finding out that I was this complete shit show inside that I was constantly trying to be perfect, constantly trying to control everything around me so nobody saw how wounded I was internally. And that was where all of these control issues came from. It was a lot of that instability and inconsistency in early childhood and no boundaries and just never really feeling safe or loved in the capacity that a child needs to be.
Right.
Yep. And again, like, nobody's fault. It just is. That's just what happened. And I'm grateful for that. And it's just everything fundamentally is at its core is what do you actually have control over, and let go of the rest.
Yeah, I think too, as you say all that stuff, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to identify with what you said, which is why your journey is so powerful. And ultimately, your coaching is so effective and so valuable, because I think so many people, well, the events weren't the same. The experiences and the feelings were very similar in terms of the trauma and the invalidation and no boundaries and that stuff. And I think, that's the thing that gets in our way from being successful, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's important to recognize, like, it doesn't matter if you experienced a big T trauma or not. Cause I have people come to me and they're like, but I don't have the big thing. They're like, my childhood was good. And I'm like, okay, well, are you suffering from self-doubt? Yes. Are you feeling like an imposter? Yes. Are you lacking confidence? Yes. Okay. Well, you still experience trauma because it's called life.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, life traumatizes us. And so there's going to be times where we didn't get the response we hoped for, and it creates some insecurity. And,
I never thought about that. Can you imagine going through your life, just you can't achieve, and you feel so ashamed because nothing big ever really happened to you, but you're just invalidating the trauma of life that's there. I never thought about that. That's really powerful. That's incredible to think about, because so many of us have had, like, all right, we had that trauma, we know what it is, right? And then it's, I guess, having the self-doubt of like, well, there wasn't any trauma, but there was, right? That's interesting.
yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, we can have trauma when somebody makes a shitty comment on your Facebook post. I mean, it's traumatizing, like all of that stuff. If you've ever dated, it's traumatizing.
Yeah, I think that especially dating now, I can
Right.
speak from experience that it's very
Yeah.
traumatizing. Yeah.
Right. Seriously, it's
The
just
blender.
life. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so, it's being able to just let go of the attachments to any of those external conditions. And so it's shifting into this place of being unconditional, because I'm like, ain't no external condition gonna fuck with my flow. Like, nope, I am unconditional and unapologetic,
Right. I've
because
experienced
it's
that
like,
firsthand.
yeah. And I mean, like, yesterday or the day before, like, I actually had a moment, like, I fucked up and I said, Jeff, I am sorry that I did whatever it was, blah, blah, blah. But very rarely, do I apologize, because it's the obnoxious apologizing, over apologizing by habit
Right.
that is important to break,
Because
So,
that's not really sincere, right? If you're
no, and it's
apologizing out of habit.
constantly, exactly. And it's constantly undermining your confidence if you're basically apologizing for just being.
Right. And your self-esteem. Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal. Oh, that was pretty amazing. So we just covered so much information in less than a half hour.
Right. And there's so
What
much more.
there is. So, I mean, do you want to talk about the agency side?
Yeah, we can totally do that. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So,
Want it?
it's interesting. I think a lot of people, when you start going into business, we just kind of piecemeal our systems. We just know somebody who recommends a thing that works for them. And we're like, okay, cool, we'll do that. And it's like, everybody was on the ClickFunnels bandwagon 10 years ago when I started my business. So I got on ClickFunnels, and then I remember so many years into it, everybody was convert kit, so then I moved my email over there, and then it was like, are you on Calendly or Acuity for your calendar management? And like, it was just this piecemealed mess, and nothing was really working. But I'd gotten to this place of creating a status quo, of just accepting there was a certain level of difficulty, a certain level of disconnect, and a certain level of just tolerance to this is really not working, but it's working.
Right.
It could be better. So I had to take that step back, and really everything in this journey is about being willing to take a step back, disconnect from being in the experience. We can't be in our shit when we need to work on our shit. We can't be in our business when we need to work on our business.
Right.
We can't be in with the team when we need to lead the team. That's it. And so we've
Right.
always got to take that step back with that 30,000-foot view and look at the big picture and ask the question, how can this be easier? Because there's always a way. And so for me, it was like, fine, all right, cool. So I found that right software where it was all in one. And I tried some before that didn't work well. Found one that was all in one. I was able to really make it my own and get to a place where in my coaching program, I'm only in it no more than 3 hours a week. And that's literally including private coaching sessions, weekly accountability, all the things that I do 3 hours a week. I've leveraged some with team, but most of it's with technology. And it's massive because I used to spend all my time in it. I used to be 20 some odd hours in that business. And once I did that, and mind you, I was really scared to disconnect from the clients because that was my thing. Somehow, we all have that self-important ego that thinks we're so important to the process that if I automate,
it's going to fail without me,
or I'm going to lose the connection with my clients. Total lie. And so once I was willing to do that work and let go of that story, it was amazing. And by doing that, not only were we able to actually grow and scale that coaching business, but now I have all this extra time to invest in additional revenue streams. Well, people who are in your ecosystem for 2, 3, 4 years, they're growing and evolving. What's that next logical step? Well, create a revenue stream that serves the same client. So now I'm teaching people how to do what I did on my personal development journey. Now I'm teaching people how to do what I did on my business systems journey, creating the automations and the client experience.
Yeah, you just said a lot. So I want to break this down for the audience real quick, right? So you're a coach, and most of your clients, I would say, 95% plus are all business owners of some type.
Yeah. Everybody's a leader. There's a few executives. Most of them are entrepreneurs.
Most of them are entrepreneurs. So they come to you and they want personal coaching because they want to be more successful. But most of it is sometimes it's systems, and a lot of it's emotional. A lot of it is listening, right? A lot of it is boundaries. But all of a sudden they get to this point where it's okay, I got to do this thing. And then you're like, well, here's the business process side here. We're not, I don't even want to say the name of the software. If you want to know the name of the software, reach out to Stacy and she'll tell you what it is. All right. So that'll be your lead in for pulling people in here. I want people to call you.
That's the important thing too, though, is understanding that, even though this is kind of a white label software, every agency makes it their own. So you're not going to get what you get with us with everybody else. So, and we've done that on purpose. So we really speak to the high performing service based entrepreneur who wants a high touch experience with the most amount of time and energy freedom possible.
Right. No, and there's one other side benefit. And I think a lot of people see this in a lot of coaching organizations, especially large ones. But for me, this works in reverse because people are like, oh, we get to network and people, maybe I'll meet some business connections and make some money. But the truth is that's not how you have to look at it, because really what you have is a group of people who are a resource that you may have a need that they can meet. You can't come in and sell, but there are so many people that I've talked to in your network that I have benefited from, whether it's, the hypnotist or Dr. Nicole, or other people, marketing people. There's a lot of web people. There's so many resources to tap on as you're growing your organization. I think that's a huge plus. It's a draw for me.
Yeah. And it's a good community of people who are focused on transformational leadership and networking, not transactional networking.
Right.
It's a big difference. I've been in some of those organizations where it's very transactional. Like they just want to, what can they get from you? And then they're just like, okay, what's the ask or whatever, but that's it. Like they don't want to really get to know you. And this is a space where it's that safe space. People are getting vulnerable, sharing their stories, their wins, their challenges, all of the things. And everybody's leaning in to support that. And so it's genuine relationships are made, which is exciting to see people in the organization doing business together. We get together quarterly so we can do life together. It's InFlowential family, at our right. quarterly events, and we're having fun. We're doing boat day and we're doing beach day and we're going to Dave and Buster's as much as we're doing workshop. And we were so tactical at the quarterly meetup for Q3. I mean, we just broke down some amazing tools and techniques, and people were just like, amazing. And we had a 12-year-old, your daughter was there. I mean, everybody was just like, this is amazing.
It's good stuff. It's funny when you're talking about time, and so I just want to talk about some of the benefits that I've had. I mean, obviously, my in the last 12 months, my business has grown substantially, right? And it's allowed me to do something that I've always wanted to do that I never thought in a million years that I could do. But for the last 2 months, I'm working about an average of 4 hours a day now, which is a game changer rather than working 10 or 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week. Because it was killing me. But the biggest benefit of that is now I can focus on my health. I can get up early. I can work out. I don't have to rush back from the gym. Maybe every now and then, I would say once a week I get a call I've got to take, but that's fine. It's been a challenge. Like just you talked about just releasing that control and that connection. It has been I go out of my mind. Like I woke up with a panic attack the other day and I'm like, what am I worried about? I didn't even know what I was worried about. It's just like I'm doing something different. I should be doing something. And so that is hard, like backing off of that. But you don't have to change your overall intensity. You're rather than just applying it to your business, you're applying it to all aspects of your life. And so just my health alone has seen some changes, and I've lost some weight. I'm definitely more fit. I'm definitely stronger. I'm definitely feeling better. And so for me at my age, especially because I've got a couple of diseases I have to grapple with, health is first. Health is first. If I can take care of my health, I can take care of my business. I can take care of my family, and those are the things that I really want to do. I'm in it for my family.
Absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
it, right? It is when we become really optimized and more efficient because we're managing our energy, we're managing our focus and flow, we're really focusing on the essentials and letting go of all the things that are not essential anymore and bringing that clarity into our organizations for our teams. It just becomes easier and easier.
Well,
We don't have to, we get to break out of the hustle mentality and stop trading time for money. Even entrepreneurs still in the hustle are sitting here hustling, trading time for money.
right. Well, I was just you saying it gets easier and easier, and I my experience, and maybe this is just me, or maybe this is just my personality type. None of this has been easy. Like
No.
it's like going into business. Like if you're going to go into business for yourself, you're going to quit your full-time job. 99% of us, 99.999% of it, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. But making the transition out of your business to have someone else work it so you don't have to work in your business and taking care of yourself is just as hard. It's like it is a slog, and you need support. You need a coach, and you need other people. You need a battle buddy. You need people to talk to, because it sucks. It's some days you just get up and you're like, I don't want to get out of bed today. I don't want to work out today. I didn't want to work out today, actually. I came off of my 36-hour fast, and I said, no, suck it up, buddy. And as soon as I got to the gym, I felt fantastic. I was moving around. I was doing my stretches. And sometimes you just need that nudge, just the idea to know that everyone else is doing it and it's going to work. And sometimes, what did we talk about the other day? I said Schrodinger's emotions, your feelings both matter and don't matter. How you feel about something doesn't freaking matter. You feel terrible. You don't want to get, it doesn't matter. Get with your commitment, get with your goals, because you're not going to get there if you're just thinking, I'm tired, I'm not going to get up, because most of the time it's just, your body's going through some changes. That's it. And you're paying too much attention to that negativity.
Well, it's amazing how much, kind of going back to what we were talking about, the sabotage cycles, right? That we are driven by our emotions and feelings. All of that drives our action. And that's really what creates the thoughts and the inner critic and it's okay, just sleep in, and the whole head trash that we go through. And the more we can be in the space of just looking at behavior as it just is, and stop assigning a meaning to it, it allows us to start separating action from emotion, behavior from meaning. All of a sudden you free up like 90% of your bandwidth internally, because it's all these stories and the bullshit that we're assigning to everything, when it's like, you don't even know what someone's intention or meaning was. But we sit here in this space of worrying about all this crap. And it's like, just let it go. And what I've moved into is saying, okay, here's the behavior. I can only control myself. So if it's somebody else's action or behavior, I'm not going to assign a meaning. I'm just going to say, okay, it is what it is. What's my responsibility in creating conditions for the outcome that I want? And that's it. That's all I can do. And then if it's my own, I'm not going to assign meaning to the behavior that I did or didn't do. It's just, okay, how can I adjust the conditions to get the desired outcome?
Right.
And it's so liberating.
You can do that externally with other people, right? Just because someone else is upset doesn't mean it's about you.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was kind of the first example. Like if somebody, says or does something, whatever their behavior is, we don't have to assign meaning to it. It just is. And the biggest liberator there is not taking shit so fucking personal. It's not about you. Think about yourself 98% of the time. Whatever it is that's going on with us, it's our own shit.
Right.
It has nothing to do with anybody else. And on top of that, even if it does, most of that is what we're creating.
100%.
Like when you stop assigning a meaning and creating all these associations, I'm like, it is just freed up so much space in my marriage. Just removing the attachments, removing the meaning. It just is. If something happens, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. I control me. If Jeff can't do something that I'm asking him to do, I don't have an emotional reaction to it. I'm like, okay, if I need it now and he can't do it, I just go do it myself. And again, no guilt, no whatever. It just is. That's it.
Right.
And the more we can separate that, the more likely we are to do the things we need to do to create the success we want. But that's why the systems are so important.
Right. I agree. And I think there's a flip side to that coin too, which is get rid of negative people in your life. Not that they're bad people, but some people are just stuck. They can't find anything positive of any situation. And if you find a person who can only find the negative in every situation, it's time to move on until they grow a little more. Because if you've got I had a lot of those people. I had a lot of those people in my life, and I love them dearly. But it's just I think that it's like being in soup. If the soup is hot, eventually you're going to cook, and you have to remove the soup so you can cool down. That's a terrible metaphor, but
it's like the frog in the water, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was going for.
Yeah,
that's what I was going for.
It's wild too how many people prefer to make their decisions about their circle based on people they like. Do you realize the people you like is based on a filter that was created when you were a child and is probably really dysfunctional and fucked up? It's why you're choosing the wrong people to date. You're choosing the wrong people in your business. You're choosing the wrong people in your inner circle, and they're not helping you or supporting you. So if you remove that variable and look just at who are the people that inspire me or are aspirational because they're living the life you desire, those are the people to shrink the proximity. I have somebody that I absolutely adore for who they are and how they're leading and what I'm able to learn from them. We don't have an intimate relationship because that's just not the way they function. They're not a warm, fuzzy kind of person. I am a warm, fuzzy kind of person. I like that.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. If that's not how they roll, I don't take it personal. But it's all the other variables. They've bought and sold businesses. They were ahead of their time in industries that women were just not in, doing things that are just absolutely amazing and disrupting industries and living a life fully personal, professional, community, impact, all the things that is very analogous to my own vision. Yeah. So I got closer to them, so it's really shifting that perspective on how we're curating the people we surround ourselves with. Some of those people I don't always like, but they're doing the damn thing.
Yeah. It's that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah. And I was that person for a really long time.
Yep. It's a tough place to be. You can get stagnant there.
Mm-hmm. It fuels your ego too, because you're like, oh my God.
Well, that's just it. I think that's why we keep a lot of them around, right?
Right.
It just strokes our ego, and we get to feel better or superior or comfortable. It's all mediocrity, right?
Or in control. Because
Yeah.
if you can run laps around other people, right, that's one of the ways we keep the wall up and get to stay, in that control issue kind of space.
Yeah, you cannot be healthy in a comfortable environment. You will atrophy. You have to challenge yourself. Yeah. That was a full 45 minutes with Stacy Raske. Stacy, do you want to give people your website or contact information, where to go? We'll definitely attach it to the bottom of this video.
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing about having a beautifully branded name, if you Google Stacy Raske, I come up. StacyRaske.com. We're at the time of this recording, we're rebuilding it. So hopefully by the time you get there, you get the new and improved snazzy home for all things Stacy. And if you want to learn more about our coaching side and ecosystem, it is InFlowential.com. And the agency, if you're like, I need to get my systems in order and really build out the back end, it is influential.agency. And obviously we'll have all the links. So,
and the flow is FLOW.
It is flow, effortless flow.
Flow state. All right, so I'm gonna close this out real quick. Hey, thank you everybody for showing up and watching this, and we're gonna do a part 2. We're definitely gonna do a part 2. I feel like we can talk about a lot more. But say goodbye for now. Bye.
Bye.